Why is that collapsing? That is a radiator hose. It looks like vacuum. This is an old truck, not very old, 2017, but the hose doesn't. Oh no, that is normal. My truck has a problem with a parameter. This one is working here okay. The front light, this one is working. My new truck is not have to go back to the dealer because of a parameter. Parameter means this light is not working. We replaced it before, but it didn't work. This light is not working. Every time you change the light bulb, it doesn't work. So it has to go back to the dealer. This truck is working. It has a problem. Is it a real problem? I have no idea. The older design, you can tell the hoses here are clear. They are not trying to spare space. The hoses, there's two hoses going to the differential pump are clear. You have the fuse box here and you have another fuse box here. It's 2017 Freightliner. So the marking lights are on. They are working on the top of the truck. These two lights are on. They are working. That's the marker. ABS have to be off. The side marker signal is on. The reflectors are intact. Have to go back again to make sure the corner angles. You have to make an angle here and another 90-degree angle here. That reflector angle have to be there. So the signaling is okay. Communication is okay. The other truck has to go back to the dealer because of a parameter problem. You cannot fix the signal. This is okay. The top line is okay. That's the marker on the top. Mark the beginning and then that light is working. That light is working. That light is working. That is the most important light is working. Back to the Freightliner 2017. That is, as you see, that is automatic, that's manual transmission. That is a stick shift, the clutch, the brakes and the pedal. And that's old, the old design of the window stopper between the door and the frame. They don't do that anymore. That portion, you try to replace it, it doesn't work. The new one doesn't work. When the wind is very strong, it takes that window out very strongly and it's separated from here. That portion will come out. When you buy a new part, the new part doesn't work. If you look inside here, the mechanism, it's not a very secure mechanism. So they replaced that portion, they made the stopper in this part. The biggest problem with the Freightliner, the old Freightliners, you can close the window from here, you can close the door from here. You slam the door, it is locked. I have the keys outside here. If I open it again, now it is open. You close it from inside, you slam it, it is locked. That means you are in big trouble if you forget the key inside. That is a stupid trucking. The stupidest way to design a truck. If you look at under the hood, the suspension in the front is 2 leaves, 2 layers. In the front of the suspension springs are 2 layers. That portion is the stopper, so when you go down, it doesn't stretch it beyond the limits. If you notice here, the steers, the differential gears of the steer is brought forward. If you follow the hoses, that is the outlet. The inlet is coming from inside, from an oil pump that is connected to the engine. Another way, the oil pressure inside the differential gear is high pressure. It is not just a negative flow. There is an oil pump inside that is pumping the oil to the differential gear. If you look at the sensor for the brake, if we follow it, in the old designs they make it behind the inside, not outside. Might be a problem of getting it hot. So that wire and that hose are connected to the inside, to the other side of that frame, of that beam, to the air pressure control or the regulator control. The brakes here are the old-fashioned brakes. That is the air hose, the brake hose, the single chamber air drum with a diaphragm inside, and the push arm is coming right as you see it. You can see it with your eyes here. The new trucks, they don't do that anymore. Everything is covered, and in the new trucks it works this way, not that way. And it moves that arm. That arm twists the thick horizontal cylinder, which connects to the S-cam inside. And as you see, the brakes here are shoes. The shoes brakes have very serious problem of getting hot, because as you see, they are not cooled. Those are the brakes. They don't have exposure to the air, so they get so hot very easily. But the disc brakes have at least 4 surfaces in contact with the air, so it's very easy to cool the disc brakes, the modern ones. This is the old ones that will disappear from the market very soon. So the air goes through this hose, compresses the diaphragm, pushes the piston out, the piston comes out, pushes that arm out, the arm twists that horizontal cylinder. It turns out here in S-cam, the S-cam spreads the shoes, one in the top, one in the bottom. This one right here, and one in the bottom. That is the old braking system. Here also they have fuses under the hood. This fuse box, you have to use a wrench to remove it. It's closed tightly to avoid getting water inside. In the old trucks, you can easily get a short here and you lose the light on the entire truck. So here they made it very tight, as you see, and you have a nut here. This one you can open it easily. On the right side, where it is not crowded, you can see the brakes here. These brakes, as I said, you are not going to see them anymore. The shoes, the drum, and the S-cam that goes like this, they disappeared in the new trucks. The control valve is behind that beam. If you look at this wire that's covered by a thermal insulator, there's two cables. Those are the air hoses. They go behind this beam. One of them goes with connectors with the regulator. The regulator that is the outlet hose from the regulator, and that is a sensor for the computer control that takes the signal from a sensor right here in the brakes around this portion. You see it right here. The suspension here is two leaves that you see, very thin. If you go to the back, there's only one thick leaf. That is the back. And the drum in the back, the air brake drum, is two chambers, not one chamber. You can tell that they replaced the airbags on this truck, and they don't seem to be consistent in putting the air tanks. Here is the air tank on the right side of the truck with a cable. With this cable you can pull to release air. Also here, that is the front drive, the primary drive, the old S-cam brakes, the drum in the back. That is the first axle. Sorry, that is the first drive axle. Second axle of the truck, of the trailer. It has two cylinders. On the rear drive, also has two cylinders. That is not consistent. Not some trucks, they don't do that. Why did they put two chambers on four wheels? Because here you have two chambers, and two in the back on the right side and two on the left side of the same tractor. Some tractors, they don't do that. I might be able to find the reason in a minute. Air pressure is low. Air pressure is low because it is an old truck. Many thousand, 86,000 is not that old. 2016 Freightliner. The air pressure is low when you stop. Truck have to go back to the dealer because of a parameter error. They cannot get the light, the signal right, the signal light in the front to turn on every time you replace the light bulbs, they burn. I wasn't able to recognize the problem for a long time. Somebody told me I have a problem, but I never thought to be that permanent. A brand new truck with the front signal lights not working. The mechanic said it might be a parameter problem. Parameter means a programming issue. Of course, the mechanic has no clue. Anything that goes wrong, anything that the mechanic doesn't know how to fix, he will tell you it is a parameter problem, a programming issue for the light, because he cannot fix the light. You have to send it to the shop, to the dealer, freight line. Somebody told me I have a problem, not about 2 months ago, 3 months. I cannot find the problem. Then one day I discovered that the yellow light in the front is not working. And the shop seemed like they tried to fix it because I did not put it in the paper. They left it alone, and I have to take the truck back to the shop. After I have to call for a road service. The road service guy came, replaced the light bulbs. They worked for a minute, a few minutes. After he left, the light bulbs went down again. So I am now back to the stick shift. I'm trying to learn again how to drive a stick shift. I haven't driven a stick shift for over now 9 months. The problem with it is that your mind is telling you that you forgot, don't know how to drive a stick shift. So once you get into it, you discover that your hands and feet, they know what to do. Take me a while to figure out how to do the cruise control again. And to find where to look. So here is the cruise control. Not like the other truck. Here is where your cruise control. That is, you set it on, you resume, reset, resume, reset. Set it on and the cancel is here. On this side, those are the keyboard for the screens on the driver panel. The driver panel here is beautiful. It still have 4 and 4 gauges on the right, 4 gauges on the left, with a little LED screen. We don't use it a lot. Problem with this truck is that if you lock the keys inside, you lock yourself out. You have to get a locksmith to open it. Stupid, very stupid design. It also has shoes brake on all wheels. All wheels are shoes. Shoes and drums. Not discs, no bass. And the engine brake on the dash, you have 3 settings right here. And you can set it on and off from here. When you want to signal the driver behind you, you use that button. If you see how nice I'm driving, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I can use the button. If you see how nice I'm driving, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I am looking on the road. I can put my finger here, and I I have two bottoms up and two down. Where are they? Right here. No, right here. That's down. That is up. No. Let me do it again. That is down. That is down. That is up. That is up. Now I remember now. Here is where you reset. Here is where you resume. I am not even looking at it. Here is on. Here is where you cancel. On this side, you are not using the lot unless you stop. The only one you use here is that engine brake. When you look for the cruise, are you on cruise or not, you look here at the mitigation, collision mitigation little device. It tells you are set at 65 miles per hour, and it gives you the velocity, the speed of the car in front of you. It has a collision mitigation system, which means if you are very close, it slows you down. It does not have a predictive acceleration system that requires a GPS. So when you're going down the mountains, you have to slow down before you get down grade. If you don't, you can exceed the speed limit and you can get in trouble. The new trucks, they don't do that. But to a great extent, they slow down by themselves, by the GPS. They slow down by themselves. For example, now I'm going downhill, down a grade, 6%. I have to do that by myself. I have to slow down by myself. The computer is not going to do that for you on this truck. That's 2016 Freightliner. It has 10 gears, as you see here. Amazing things. When I came back to it after 9 months, my mind is telling me I forgot how to drive a stick shift. But as soon as you get into it, your fingers know what to do. Because I drove the same truck for 4 years before. Your feet know how to do the double clutching and the revving the engine and the speed. Everything becomes very smooth right away. The only thing that you struggle with for a few minutes is the cruise control, the engine brakes, and the lights. As you see here, they have a stupid light. The flashlight is behind the steering wheel. It makes no sense. In your car, the flashlight is right here. Why do they put it in the back? Because they don't think. They don't use their head. They don't care about drivers. If they care, they will not leave the door, let the door lock, and they lock you outside. If you make a mistake and you just push the button. If you push that button on the side, when you are outside, you are locked out. Another thing is it has, as you see here, it has a knob. That's for disconnecting the trailer. And it is written on it, danger. Danger. How do you put something dangerous? The truck is already dangerous. The major danger in any truck these days is that when you stop, when you park, if you forget to pull the hand, if you forget to pull the air brakes, the truck can fall from the mountain or slide or roll and kill somebody or kill yourself. destroy houses, destroy property. All it takes, just you forget to pull the air brakes, and you are in serious trouble. Of course, if you forget to lock the hood, you are also in serious trouble. You don't make the hood to lock from inside like the Volvo, where you have a latch. You can secure the hood by a cable, and instead of just having two cheap hooks on the side. One of the problems that's very annoying to me is that when you drop a trailer on the ground, because you forgot to lock the kingpin, you forgot to lower the landing gear, or you cut the cables and the hoses because you forgot to disconnect them when you separate from the trailer. It's very annoying. In the morning, somebody left the landing gear at a very high position, so when I hook to the trailer, I have to sweat very hard to be able to retract the landing gears. Supposed to leave an inch above the ground when you drop it, so the next driver doesn't struggle. You are in Idaho, heading into Montana, to Haver, Montana. Schrödinger wave equation. How did Schrödinger screwed up and everybody else followed him? What Schrödinger did, he used the Euler diffusion equation, fluid hydrodynamic conservation equation with the Hamiltonian of the electron composed of the potential energy, the voltage of the potential between the electron and the nucleus. So the potential that was V, capital V, multiplied by the charge of the electron, divided by the distance. We can say the potential equals the product of the two charges divided by the radius of the orbit where the electron orbits the nucleus. That is a potential which Schrödinger quantized. The kinetic energy of the electron was the mv squared, or half mv squared. You also have to quantize that too. What is wrong with that? What is wrong is that there is a serious violation of of conservation of energy, there is a serious violation of the balance of forces. Because if the energy of the electron is quantized, the Hamiltonian is quantized. The Hamiltonian of the nucleus have to be quantized too. You not assume that the nucleus have absolute stability. When the nucleus is the source of motion of the electron. And the concept of quantizing the Hamiltonian of the electron in the atom, very suspicious. We consider that the planetary model, the motion of the planets around the sun or around the stars, cannot be described as quantized. Planets have different orbits, not because of the quantum. Probably because of the mass and the angular momentum, how fast they spin. In the case of the electron, if you quantize the energies of the electron and you forget to quantize the energies of the atom, of the nucleus, that's a violation. Because where does the energy of the atom come from? Where does the energy of the electron come from? It comes from the charges attracting each other. But you make it unlimited. Because there is no constraint on it. To me, it seems like Schrödinger equation assumes that the Coulomb's force, the Coulomb's potential, has unlimited energy. The problem with Schrödinger, when you assume that the charge of the nucleus is capital Z multiplied by the charges of each proton. So how comes the protons are cooked together as a chunk, assumed to be a big chunk of a charge? The charge Z multiplied by E, the number of protons multiplied by the number of the atoms of the charge, the positive charge, while the electron is assumed to be forced to have a selective positions around the orbit, around the nucleus, was constrained on both the potential energy of the electron and the kinetic energy. The constraint assumed that if you quantize the potential energy, which is the Coulomb's potential, and the kinetic energy, which is supposed to be an external, now we are going downhill very fast. So I have to slow down because there is no predictive break here. I got it to 65. It's a very high. It's the maximum engine power. 6%, very long grade. Fortunately, it is dry. Fortunately, it is daytime. Fortunately, there is no snow. Fortunately, it is straight. Very few curves. That's the curve. I'm going to continue after I finish the descent because it's too long, going down too long. I'm getting down up to 80, 60, 8, 70 now. It's too far, it's too high. As I mentioned, the shoes in this drum, this truck, the shoes can get very hot very quick. So how did everybody believe in Schrödinger? The Schrödinger equation is simply a Hermitian quantized, not to describe the whole motion of the electron. Cannot even describe the motion. When you quantize the Hermitian, you are violating the law of conservation of energy. Because the nucleus have to suffer by giving the electron very limited ability to move, to choose an orbit. So where is the struggle of the nucleus, which is Newton's third law of motion? Then there have to be in the equation of Heisenberg, there have to be a term in the Schrödinger equation that accounts for the negative impact or the reaction of the nucleus to the action of the electron. Because the equation implies that the electron was injected by a velocity v, given from outside by an energy supplied to the electron. And that energy pushed the electron close to the nucleus such that the electron can get an orbit depending on how much quanta involved in the kinetic energy. And because of that kinetic energy of injection of the electron into the nucleus, the electron was able to choose an orbit based on the balance between its kinetic energy and its potential energy. We have a lot of potential here. It's a nice truck to drive. But boy, it's up you.